Hello fight fans and welcome back to a new video. In this video I will be giving you guys my analysis and predictions on the fight between the challenger Paulo Costa and the champion Israel the Last Stylebender Adesanya. Be sure to press the like button if you like my content and subscribe to help me grow my channel. I am very thankful to all of you that follows and supports me on my journey as an analyst and a coach, and with that being said, let's get right into the analysis. The fight between Paulo Costa and Israel Adesanya is a fight that I can promise will deliver, as both fighters entered this contest unbeaten and with some bad blood between them to get us even more hyped for this matchup. Let's start by talking about the challenger. Paulo Costa is an excellent fighter, and his best attributes that we can all agree upon is his power, aggressiveness, and his durability. He is huge for the middleweight division, and despite all the muscles, he seems to be able to fight at a high pace without necessarily getting gassed out, like fighters with all that muscle tend to do. Costa has finished all of his fights except the fight against Yoel Romero, which is the only fight he has gone to distance. Adesanya also went to distance against Yoel Romero in his first title defense, and the interesting part that we can analyze from the fights against Yoel Romero is how different approach they had that says a lot about them as fighters. Adesanya fought a smart and tactical fight that most people were thinking was boring, but in my opinion, he fought a smart fight, and yes, he could have had a little bit more of an output, but when fighting a dangerous and explosive fighter as Romero, it's very important not to overcommit or overreach, because trust me, if Adesanya would throw caution to the wind and start to overcommit, then Romero would have a chance to capitalize on it, like he have done many times before, and the right way to fight a fighter like Romero is to stay disciplined and not give him any chance of countering. And I really think that we will see a disciplined Adesanya this time too, because he knows that Costa is a powerful puncher. Paulo Costa on the other hand fought Romero very differently. He really did not care or respect the power of Romero and pressured Romero for the most parts of the fight, and threw heavy shots with bad intention. And if he fought like that in that fight, be sure to see him even more aggressive this time around, because that is just his fighting style. However, some people thought that Costa was gassing out and fading away in the last round, which I don't really think was the case. If we look back to the first two rounds of that fight, I think we can all agree that it's very hard to fight like that for 3 or 5 rounds, and Costa took a little bit of a breather in the last round, which does not mean that he was gassed out, and in my opinion, it was the right thing to do, because let's not forget that he was fighting Romero, and he is the last person you want to be gassed out in front. So, just because a fighter is fighting at a slower pace than the previous round, does not necessarily mean that they are gassed out. If that would have been a 5-rounder, Costa would never fight in a pace like that and would be more preserved of his energy, and I'm sure that he will fight in a high pace against Adesanya, but will for sure be more preserved of his energy, because it is a 5-rounder this time, and not a 3-rounder like the fight against Romero. Now, let's talk a bit about the champion Adesanya. This will be the second title defense fight for the Nigerian-born champion, which will be his toughest one, and that is because of the fact that we know that Paulo Costa will move forward and be aggressive. Adesanya is the better and technical striker, and has no problems fighting at a slow pace, like the fight against Romero, where he can dictate the pace using his length and long strikes. However, I'm very confident to say that this will not be the case. I am sure that Costa will take the center and will try to get Adesanya fighting going backward, where he will be looking for the big shots to knock out the champion. I think it's very clear what both of the fighters will try to do come fight night. Adesanya will for sure be looking to touch and move, while Costa will try to press Adesanya against the fence and make him engage in the pocket. However, Costa will need to be very careful when launching forward, because Adesanya is a sniper that will make Costa pay every time he overextends himself. Just take a look at the fight between Adesanya and the former champion Robert Whittaker. Robert wanted to knock Adesanya out so badly that he overextended himself, and Adesanya managed to counter him and ended up knocking out Robert instead. So, with that being said, I think we can all agree that Costa has to be very careful and aware of his defense at all times. I personally don't think that there are many MMA fighters that can beat Adesanya in a kickboxing fight with MMA gloves. So, mixing it up will be key for Costa. He will need to mix up the occasionally clinch and takedown attempt. He doesn't necessarily need to take the fight to the ground, but has to threaten with the takedowns in order to get Adesanya thinking about it, which would make him more uncomfortable. And when fighting an elite striker, it is very important to make him as uncomfortable as possible, in order to make him less dangerous. Adesanya on the other hand will for sure be looking to keep his feet moving at all time, and will stick to his kickboxing where he will be looking for the longest strikes, to keep Costa at distance. The heavy feints of Adesanya are his most underrated tool, which will for him be key in this particular fight, and that is because Adesanya is dealing with an aggressive power puncher in Costa, and if using his feints in a good fashion, he can manage to use the strength of Costa against him. And what I mean by that is that the feints of Adesanya might make Costa react to them, and make him launch forward, which will be Adesanya's best possibility of countering him like the fight against Robert Whittaker. This is a very interesting matchup that I can't wait to see. If I have to make a prediction, I would predict that Paulo Costa will be the new middleweight champion, and I think that he might get the knockout. And if he does not get the knockout, then I think Israel Adesanya wins the decision. I feel that the power of Costa might be too much for Adesanya, as we have seen him being knocked out once before in his kickboxing career, and we have also seen him being dropped against Kelvin Gastelum. And if the fight goes to a decision, I feel that Adesanya has a bit more of an experience advantage because he has fought 5-rounders before, and Costa has not. So that might play a factor if it goes to the championship rounds. I hope you guys enjoyed my analysis, and I'm currently working on more content, so do not forget to subscribe to get notified when I post my next videos. Thank you, and until next time.